Hi guys, welcome to the latest episode of the Vox Chatter Podcast, a podcast about all things 40k and Games Workshop. With me today, I've got Brett.
Hello everybody.
So it's just me and Brett today, as others are occupied elsewhere. But we've got plenty to talk about. It's been a while since we've actually done our last podcast, so there is plenty to discuss, and I am hoping to make it a more regular feature moving forward. So I will keep you all updated on that. So it's the start of November now, and we're just looking at moving into the Christmas period. And Games Workshop has just announced the remaining codexes due till the end of the year, and that is going to be our complete set of 10 codexes for 8th edition in 2017. So they've announced that they are going to be doing the Dark Angels and the Blood Angels before Christmas, and our first codex of the new year is going to be Chaos Demons, which obviously I'm very psyched about.
Just a bit.
Just a bit. I've been wondering what they're going to do with them, because it feels like they're missing a little bit of something at the moment. I'm also interested to see how they do faction stuff in that book, because, so typically all the new factions have been doing have been things like, this chapter, this craft world, this hive fleet, this whatever. I was like, demons have got 4. They've got the gods. And the trouble I have with that is, while that's fine in principle,
then are you just gonna have to take like a corn force, yeah. So you're not gonna be able to run like a mix of sort of this is
I
just
reckon
demons.
you might get 5 factions. You might get Undivided as a faction choice, maybe if we're lucky. But I was thinking about,
maybe they might not really give you factions. Maybe it might be your greater demons that give you so many buffs for. Like if you take a greater demon of Nurgle, just all Nurgle forces in your army then like gain a faction rule of something else. So you might go, oh, I really like my Nurgle troops. I really like running what they're called now, Juggernauts from Khorne in my list. But I really like having Screamers from Tzeentch, and then you go, oh, well, I want my troops to be a bit better, so I'll take the Great Unclean One because I know how much you like the Great Unclean One. And then all your Nurgle force in your army get a buff.
Maybe. I'm interested to see how they're going to go about it, because I was thinking, technically, you don't see this in most other forces because it doesn't feel right fluff-wise, but your regiment or craft world or chapter, whatever, it's all defined by detachment, not force. So like technically, most forces these days will include like a battalion and a vanguard and a spearhead or something like that. Each 3 of those could be a different regiment or craft world or equivalent, and only the members from that detachment gain the benefits of its chapter tactics. Battalion of Ultramarines.
No, I get what you're saying. You're like saying if or Death Watch.
Or Death Watch, yeah.
So you could go, I've got Ultramarines and Death Watch, but so all my...
The keyword is Space Marine or Imperial or whatever.
But then how you're saying it for how it worked for Chaos is the Ultramarines would all get their special rule, and then the Death Watch would then get their special rule for being 2 different detachments.
Yes.
So with Demons, you could go, I'm having a Khorne, Nurgle, Tzeentch detachment, and each one from them gets their own rules.
Yes, so if I want to roll...
But what you could do is you could have like, say your Nurgle is all your heavies, I'm just speculating,
example,
but say you filled your heavy slots and you couldn't get another elite in or anything like that from Nurgle, and you had to put a Nurgle squad in, like your Bloatflies, in with your Tzeentch detachment, because that will fast attack, so you put your Bloatflies in there, then all your Tzeentch units in that detachment would benefit from a rule.
But they don't, because it's not a pure Tzeentch detachment.
But it's not pure Tzeentch detachment
now. They
now.
would lose the Tzeentch chapter tactic or equivalent because...
There's a unit of Bloatflies in there.
Now, that's what I think they're probably going to end up doing. I think you're going to end up with 5 factions.
If you have a detachment purely of
but
this,
it'll be like this, because you would you could take a battalion of Beitan, and you could have an Outrider detachment of Siham, and your Siham bikers and everything in the Outrider get their Siham rules, and everything in the battalion get the Beitan rules. So you can do that currently. So if it was just, if you're going to play a Corn Force, you get this. If you get a Zinch Force, you play this. Then you just have to build your army in detachments made of those gods.
That I could see that.
That's what I think's going to happen, but
whether it will,
whether that's what we want to happen is another issue. But yeah, so with all this talk of indexes and how armies play now and they play so differently, because like one of the things of all that is if you're going to get stratagems per god, and if you've got a mixed force, you'll presumably have access to the stratagems of each relevant god. Now, one of the big things that we've sort of come to discover now that we've been playing 8th edition for nearly 6 months now, is it? Close to? Can't think, when did it come out? June, July?
Has it been nearly a year now or something? I don't know.
No, it was middle of this year, it was like June, July.
Feels like it's been out ages now.
It does. It feels like it's been out a long time. I can't even remember 7th edition. Barely.
It would be interesting if someone offered me a game of 30k, I'd be like, I don't know the rules anymore.
I can't remember how to play. How much damage does this weapon do? Oh, wait.
Yeah.
So, this is AP -4, right? Oh, no, it's AP 4. Right, well, that's terrible.
Yeah. But Space Marines would be good again.
Yeah, well, your vanilla tactical Marines, not Primus. What
you mean Codex Primus? Anyway, that's a different story.
So what we've been finding is now there's a good range of codexes. I mean, what we're on, but when NID's release later this month, we'll have 8 codexes out and 2 more due by the end of the year. Most of us now in our play group, and we imagine most people, now own a mix of armies which both have a codex and armies which still use an index. And we're starting to see distinct differences between the two, and not just in like the competitive scene about like, oh, you've got more rules for your index army, then it's probably better for your codex army, and it's probably better than your index army. But even things like the hobby point of view and the collection perspectives, and just really reviving the interest in your army. One of the things we're going to talk about today is this difference between codex armies and index armies. In all regards of the hobby, collecting and playing. And me, for example, I primarily play with Chaos Demons, Astra Militarum, and Orcs. And now
Astra who?
Well, Imperial Guard.
There we go.
Most people these days will know them as Astra Militarum, but I always prefer the term Imperial Guard. So the case being is that I now have 2 armies which have indexes and 1 has a codex. Although my favourite one is soon getting its codex, so all hail Chaos. And it's fair to say I much prefer playing with my Imperial Guard than any other army. And not just because Imperial Guard is doing the rounds at the moment as the big band of the tournament scene. Yes, they are a very strong army if you want to take them to play competitively with, but we as a player group focus more on the hobby and playing for fun and for interest. And we're a group of casual players. We've got nothing against the tournament scene. We used to be there ourselves years ago. It's a legitimate way to enjoy the hobby, but we all mostly play casually, and that's where the main focus of this particular podcast is. So, with that in mind, although, yes, the Imperial Guard are a lot better with their codex, there's just so much more to do with them.
Yeah, there is.
When I was just using them as the index army, it was basically just, I want to play this army because I want a horde that are armed with guns, as opposed to a horde that are armed with combat weapons. That was basically the main incentive for playing Guard, I found. If you weren't wanting it to play just a tank army, for example. But now, like when I sit down at a table now and I get out like 30 plus tactical cards to give me orders, stratagems, relics, Psychana disciplines, all sorts. There's so much going on now in that book compared to the index that you didn't realise it when they first came out, but the indexes really do just feel like placeholders and stopgaps now compared to what the armies are once they get the codex.
Definitely. Just like me with my Eldar, we played a game, both using non-index armies at the time.
Yes, I used my Orcs.
Yes, you used Orcs, I used my Eldar. So I've got quite a big Eldar collection, and I was using my Wave Serpent army, so 2 Fire Prisms and I think 6 Wave Serpents.
About that. The usual wave of Wave Serpents.
And I really did not rate the Fire Prisms at all in that game. They didn't really do much damage output, didn't really seem to be an entity in the game. So I was considering either swapping them out for something else or, I just weren't happy with them. Lo and behold, the Codex arrives, and now my Fire Prisms, if they move under half speed, can fire their turret twice, which is amazing for any guard player or Astra Militarum player who'll vouch for that with their Lehman Russ.
Yeah.
And just having a stratagem where you can combine fire, so for 1 command point, you can shoot 1 Fire Prism effectively through the other, so as long as 1 Fire Prism is in range of the other and has line of sight to it, then they both fire at the same target, and both shots have to be both in the same fire mode, but you could have 1 Wave Serpent fire one way, 1 Fire Prism fire in one mode, like focused, and the other fire in dispersed. And they get to roll fatal wounds for 1 command point. So in that game, if I'd have had that ability, that meant the Stomper, the Gorkanaut, which came straight up the middle of the board, and the Fire Prisms just couldn't punch it, they'd really make a mess of it. So if I really wanted it to die over 2 turns, I could spend 2 command points and fire like 4 strength 12 minor. Rend -5, damage D6 shots, rerolling hit and wound. That's nasty.
Yeah, you've just gone from going, this is a tank with a gun, great, to this is a tank with a gun, with a special rule, with a stratagem, with an army building incentive. It's just a lot more involved. There's just a lot more that it actually brings to the army because you've got your Codex rules. Now, while it's easy to go, oh yeah, cool, this makes this better for a tournament, it gets to fire twice. Yes, this is true. What it also does is it incentivizes you to actually get multiple Fire Prisms for your army. Now, say Brett only had 1 Fire Prism originally in his collection, gets his Codex, and now he wants to use his combined fire stratagem, he has to go get a second Fire Prism. It's not a bad thing, but that change is something that's encouraged an actual change in your collection. Or it's encouraged a change in your army list.
Yes.
Something which, if you'd just been playing previously with the index, you were just kind of like, well, this is what I've got, I'll throw these things on the table, this'll do.
Yeah, because you never felt safe in buying new units because you didn't know sort of what's going to happen.
Yes, that's one of the key points about this, is that change from having an index to having a codex might completely fundamentally change how your army plays, and when it comes to putting in the time and effort, when you're sitting down and planning what to do and what to work on, we very much fall in the camp of the safe bet is work on your army that already has its codex. Not just because you don't want to waste your money buying things that you don't necessarily need later on, but just because you know where you stand with it. You know where you're going to be with that army in the next 6 months because you've got your codex.
Whereas if you, like me at the minute, I'd been working on Tau. Because I've got a big Tau collection as well. And then the Eldar Codex drops. I put down my Tau and pick up my Eldar because I don't know what could happen with Tau. The Eldar books come out and the points cost on so much stuff has changed dramatically. Gone down a lot in points. And then again, that makes units more viable. Stuff you actually want to take, you can then fit more in your army. So seems a bit odd trying to work on an army and get it to where you want it and buy models or even paint models up, and then they might either not want to be used, or you could have built that squad in a different way because suddenly they're cheaper in points, and then you could have, and if you'd have built it in a different way, you could have then added in another squad, and stuff like that. So it does change the dynamics quite a bit.
I mean, just a month or so ago, I sort of like put down my demons for a bit because I felt like I'd learnt to play 8th edition with them. I'd got a feel for how they worked as an army, but I didn't think there was much else to be achieved with them. They'd kind of like, they peaked as a collection and peaked as a playing experience for 8th edition. So I was looking to, I got my Orcs out for a few tries. And then the Astra Militarum got their new codex, and I had already played with my Guard a few times in 8th edition. I enjoyed them, but they felt just sort of very straightforward, not much interesting going on. And then suddenly the codex is here, and I love playing with my Guard. I love the option to be able to throw grenades as an entire squad, the option to call in a preliminary bombardment at the start of the game, the ability to fire on my own men when they die on the position of the Vox Caster and so on. This level of gameplay that wasn't there before is suddenly now amazing that I've got this option. And as such, I sort of shelved my demons for a little while because I was like, right, I don't expect I'll be picking these up for a little while. I'll actually put a bit of effort into my Guard and so on. And now we've just had an announcement that demons are actually getting their codex come the new year. And that's great because that immediately encourages me to want to look forward to playing with them again. But I'm also glad that I hadn't just spent the last 2 months really refining an army list and working it out and building models and painting my army up so it was all prepped and ready. And then the codex will come out and it will completely change it all.
Yeah.
Which no doubt it will do, as I have found of any and all of the races and codexes, demons are the ones that have always fundamentally changed how they play as an army every single edition. Be it the codex or the actual core rules that's updating, they've gone from being big things to hordes to cavalry to beasts to deep strikers to non-deep strikers to summoning lists to all sorts to now being arguably smite spam. Some editions I never played with Zinch, other editions everything but Zinch, like all Zinch and so on. It's kind of true to the nature of the army, but it changes a lot.
Yeah, and it's kind of the army that you can get because chaos is ever changing.
And unless they're Chaos Marines, in which case they always just seem to be on the bottom end of the scale.
Yeah, because we broke it. Sorry everybody, we broke their codex X many years ago, so now they're always going to be punished.
But no, apparently the Chaos Codex this time around has actually brought a lot of strength back to the army, and one of these reasons it being the inclusion of the Legion rules. So the last time that the Chaos Codex was arguably in ascendance and it was really good was when they had the Legion rules.
That's something though I felt Chaos always missed Legion rules.
Yeah, especially when they started making chapter tactics and more regular.
Yeah, they made chapter tactics, and then it was just like, alright, so and Chaos don't get out.
And that's one of the fundamental changes we're talking about. Like, you could quite easily have been a, I don't know, for example, which one changed a lot? I mean, just being like a World Eaters player. If you were a World Eaters player in 7th edition, but like you got the bad end of the stick. You had nothing good going for you. Here's Berserkers. They've got AP4 chain axes for expensive points.
Yeah.
Woo. You've got some aggressive Space Marines, but they're not really doing what you need them to do. And now in this edition...
Attack a million times in combat.
Yeah. And now in addition to that, you've now got World Eater Legion rules. So you've got stratagems, warlord traits, relics, and additional special rules. And suddenly, you've gone from being just I'm a Chaos Space Marine player who has some Berserkers in my army, to, oh, you're just a Chaos Space Marine player. Your army has always been a World Eater's army, but now it actually plays like a World Eater's army. And suddenly, your collection plays fundamentally different to how it used to, all because you've got a codex over an index.
Yeah. Literally overnight.
Yeah, literally overnight. And it's not just, oh look, you've got better on the tabletop. It's suddenly the fundamentals of how you play and collect that army and everything involved with it has changed. And it is so much better. This is one of the things that I think Games Workshop has done really well in 8th edition, is they've gone from just going, do you want to play this game, pick an army to play it with, in the same way you might open up a box of Monopoly and go, let's play Monopoly, which piece do you want to play with? Do you want to be the top hat or the car? You know, you're essentially still playing Monopoly. 7th edition was very much, you're still playing 40k. I mean, whereas 8th edition, when you sort of go, right, here's 40k, not only is it what army do you want to play with, it's what variety of army do you want to play with, and how do you want to play that army.
I just like how they changed all the rules though. Nothing felt the same. Like shuriken weapons used to feel just like a bolt gun, just like a gauze flare, just like a slugger. And it was just like, and it was just like, oh right. So there were no real difference, whereas now every gun is uniquely different, definitely different.
But even, say, when the attempts they had at this in 7th edition was most noticeable with the Space Marines. It was like, you want to play Space Marines? Cool, you play Space Marines. Oh, do you want to play Salamanders? Right, we'll take this one special character and he gives you some re-rolls on some weapon types. That was all you got for being a Salamander. That was the level of creativeness they ended with. Sort of like, oh, I want to play Salamanders. Cool, take Heston and you get an extra rule. Now, if you go, I want to start a Salamanders army, you start looking at, you know, traits, tactics, unit choices, the way the army is going to fundamentally play, and you're going to sit down at a table and it's going to play very differently to someone who sat down with a White Scar army. More so than just the White Scar player chose to take more units of bikes than you.
Yeah, because your army's going to be built different.
Yeah, like the tactical Marines in the Salamander army still behaved the same way the tactical Marines in the White Scar army behaved in 7th edition. Now, I mean, neither of them get used because Primus, but
yeah,
you know, your Primus squad in a White Scar army has different rules and plays differently to your Primus squad in your Raven Guard army. You know, there's a core change, and it completely changed how you play as a collection. And it also, for some people, I think it will encourage people to start new collections. Because I'm sure there's a few people that have been a bit hard done by, where, for example, you might have been playing Night Lords in Chaos Marines, and then your new chapter trait is stuff like, oh, you apply -1 modifier to morale for every unit you have near the enemy. But actually, you played Chaos Marines because you liked having Devastators and Forge Fiends and Defilers and other big shooty things, but you collected it as a Night Lords army because you liked the paint scheme.
Yeah.
Because you liked the lightning bolts and the batwings. Now, the way you've always played the game, you might have preferred to play in the way that Iron Warriors play. But if you rock up to the table now with your fully painted, fully modelled Night Lords army and go, oh, yeah, I want to play these as Iron Warriors because that's how I play the army.
You're just going to get laughed at.
Yeah. So I'm sure there are a few edge cases of people that are in that sort of situation. But that might then now encourage them to actually collect an Iron Warriors army. And okay, fine, you're starting up another Chaos Marine army, but it's going to be a different collecting experience to playing your Night Lords. Or, alternatively, you actually play your Night Lords in a new way because you never had a reason to play them differently before.
Yes.
Like, now I've got my Night Lord army, alright, well, this is what my Night Lord rules are. So actually, I'll go out and get some Warp Talons. I never thought about using Warp Talons because I never had any interest in them. You know, and suddenly you might discover a new way to play that you enjoy. As a whole, the change from Index to Codex, as you would expect, is a good one. But it's such a vast change that you wouldn't expect it. Not compared to the sort of changes you've had in the new Codex in previous editions.
I think this new 40k is absolutely awesome. I just absolutely love it. Love everything about it.
Well, so this is something else I've wanted to sort of discuss recently, and it's become more and more true for me. We've both been playing the hobby for years. Like, a good over a decade each, haven't we? We've, like, easy.
About 13 or 14 years or something, maybe a bit longer.
Yeah, I think I'm about 14 years of playing it now.
Yeah.
Now, when I was younger and I was at school and I had more of a, like, you know, school routine and so on, and we were in the height of enjoying the hobby, I remember we used to go down to the local, like, you know, Games Workshop and hobby stores, and we'd go down twice a week. You know, you'd be there on the late open evening.
Thursday.
Tuesday, Thursday night, depending.
Yeah, because they used to change it, didn't they?
And be there usually on at least one day on the weekend, ideally Saturday, as Sundays were usually for beginners.
Yeah.
Now...
And then spend Sunday painting.
Yeah. Now that was a routine as a school kid, which was more achievable than as an adult now when you've got a lot more things going on in your life. However, probably from imagine 5th edition onwards, when more stuff started getting in the way in life, the hobby became more that a hobby. It was just as and whenever you could do. Did a bit of this, but did a bit of that. Finally got a game in once a month, and we even dropped off for like a year or two at a time, didn't we? Well, we wouldn't say we stopped the hobby, but it became like a real low burner. Like we might play one game every 6 months.
I think it's when I started college. Or after college. Might have been after college.
Probably the years I spent at uni were when it also was like.
Yeah, that's probably when it dropped off. Yeah.
Like I say, I would never say I actually stopped the hobby. But what I was gonna say is, since the release of 8th edition, I've got back to the point where, for the first time in a long time, I'm disappointed when I don't manage to get in at least one game of 40k in a week. I'm actually back to a routine where every week I think, when could I get a game in this week?
I get this. I just want to. I've never before wanted to paint and get an army done so much. I'm just wanting to be painting all the time, and it's like the wrong type of painting to be doing because I've just moved house. So obviously it's like, we need to paint the house. Yeah, but I actually want to paint plastic models.
Whereas I've just got so many other things on. Like I've recently started the YouTube channel and I'm trying to produce content for that, as well as we play semi-competitive Magic the Gathering and we attend like GPs and events nationally for that and so on. So we've got all sorts that we're always trying to do. And Warhammer has in recent years taken a bit of a back burner. But now, I'm in a mindset where I'm wanting to make Warhammer again more of a high priority hobby. Like that's the thing that I want to sit down and get some time in on and actually improve, finish armies off, complete games, get campaigns running, do all sorts of stuff. Of which I'm hoping to get more and more content along these lines onto the channel. So for now, we're just starting with that's one of the reasons I created this podcast, was so I could actually sit down with friends and discuss the hobby and share it with people online. It really has like re-emerged as a really engaging hobby. I think throughout 7th edition it became a bit more, this is just the rules and this is the way you play the game when you want to play a game. Whereas now 8th edition is very much, the game is the accumulation of hobby time. It's more I do all this other hobby stuff because I want to get a good game in, I want to have a good experience, I want to get my army painted on the table, I want to have a fun game playing with Maelstrom rules or whatever.
Yeah.
7th edition felt a bit more like, here's a board game, these are the pieces to play the board game. Didn't really care about the pieces as much as you do now. Like now it feels like the hobby is the hobby, not the game.
Yeah, it's not all about just trying to get models on a tabletop anymore.
It's trying to get good quality models onto a good quality tabletop to play a good quality game.
Yeah, because that's something we've also been doing recently, is working on this table.
Yeah, which, let's say, hopefully in the near future we might get a few battle reports up and you might actually be able to see our collection.
Yeah, because we write our own campaigns as well, which is we enjoyed. Last time I came up with a campaign, everybody really enjoyed it.
So moving on to another segment that we regularly do on this podcast, favourite moments. So obviously since we last recorded we have played various games recently, different armies, different codexes, different indexes. So
I know what your favourite moment's going to be.
You do?
Yeah.
Well then let's start with you, because I haven't decided what my most recent favourite moment is.
I know what your most recent favourite moment is going to be. Overwatching a Riptide.
Yeah, I was just
11 wounds.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Yeah, so the first game I played with my new Codex Guardsman, I played against Brett, and he was using his Index Tau. Now, that game was one of the best games of 40k I've played in years. It really was a great experience. It was a complete slugfest. We actually ended up playing it over 2 days, didn't we? Okay, fine, it was just a 2,000 point game, but it was a great game and we wanted to play it to completion. You know, we weren't just restricted by timers or event scheduling or even venue because we were just playing at home locally, so we just left it set up for the day. And yeah, about 8 hours of gameplay later, and it was one of the best experiences of 40k I've ever had. And there was practically nothing left alive on the table, was there? At the end of turn 7?
It was a good game.
But my most recent favourite moment came from that game, and it was when my
Luminous Vanquisher commander.
Yeah, my tank commander Vanquisher was being charged by Brett's, at this point, unwounded Riptide.
No, I think it lost
lost
3
like
due to Novacore or something like that.
Something like that was it. It burnt some wounds to Novacore, and that was it. But because it was on 12 wounds, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it went down to 1.
Yeah. So it was on 12 wounds and it charged, and I used one of the new guard stratagems for defensive gunners, which actually allows my tank to overwatch on a 5+ for the turn. So that was like
which I didn't know about.
Yeah.
Obviously, new codex, you can't sit and read it for 12 days before you play the game.
That's an.
And to be fair, I'd have probably still done the same thing anyway.
Yeah.
Because I was kept moving into combat with stuff, so his units couldn't shoot. Either they're tied up in combat so they can't shoot, or if he drives out of combat, he can't shoot.
So it's still a viable tactic, and that's touching on one of the things that I found recently now with playing Index Army versus Codex Army, is the Codex player has so many potential things they can do at any one time that you feel a little bad sometimes when you pull out a trick like that the opponent might not necessarily know you were capable of doing. It feels a bit like a haha gotcha moment. You didn't know I could overwatch in a 5+, so you made a charge you wouldn't have otherwise made. Now while that's true, on the other side of it, I feel like, yeah, but there's, for every instance like that where I don't tell you what a stratagem I could do, every other time there's 15 other stratagems I could do at any one time and choose not to, because I don't need to do them right there and then. I have to get over this idea of I can't sort of sit there and tell my opponent every single thing I could potentially do every turn and every action out of fairness, because it would take forever, because there's about 20, 30, 40+ things I could do at any one time. But anyway, so I used defensive gunners, I was able to overwatch on a 5+, and my Vanquisher managed to land one hit with its Vanquisher cannon and one hit with its Las cannon, which, when Brett then failed the invuns on the Riptide, that's just a straight, it was one instance of d6 damage or one instance of 2d6 pick highest damage. So this Riptide that had charged and suddenly suffered 11 wounds on Overwatch because I rolled a 5 and a 6 for my Las cannon and my Vanquisher. So then it's engaged in combat on 1 wound. And I just crippled this Riptide. Its effectiveness on the battlefield was reduced to nothing, purely because of an Overwatch shot. You know, it was just a moment which we were dumbfounded when it happened, weren't we? We were both just like, wow, that happened. And when you looked at the numbers, it wasn't like I'd gone 6, 4x6, 4x6, 4x6 or anything like that. It was like I'd actually fired 4 shots at you, because of my multi-melters as well, trying to land on 5s, landed 2 hits. Okay, little above average, not much. And then they both wounded, which, okay, fine. Last cannon and a Vanquisher hitting a Riptide. I can see that happening.
Yeah, you wounded on 3s.
You failed both your saves. Again, okay.
Only 5-0.
Maybe you should have passed one, but it's not like an unrealistic thing that you might have failed them both.
No.
And then I effectively was rolling 3d6 to determine damage, picking the highest and the highest 2, essentially.
I think you got a 5 and a 1 on your Vanquisher, and then a 6 on your Las cannon.
Yeah. So there was like a 1 there involved in a damage dice. And to be fair, if I'd rolled average, like say a 2 or a 3, I'd probably burnt a command point on a reroll, which I didn't need to do. You know. So it was just this odd little thing where it wasn't like a stab in the dark. It was just I was expecting to do some damage, but perhaps not that much. And the reason why it stood out to me as being such a brilliant and favourite moment was because that would never have happened in the previous edition. That Riptide would no doubt have had a free up-in run. My Vanquisher would have just missed, no doubt, because I wouldn't have had the ability to...
you couldn't even Overwatch.
Yeah, I couldn't even Overwatch. Yeah. So say I'd been able to Overwatch, I would have been only hitting on 6s. But yeah, I couldn't even Overwatch, and you've got a free up-in run, and this, that, and the other. And I'd have only done 1 damage. That's the point as well. Even if I was capable of doing that and I'd hit you with those 2 shots, I'd lost 2 wounds. It'd been wounded by the Vanquisher and wounded by the Las Cannon, which would have had no effect on the Riptide in the long run. It wouldn't have reduced its ballistic skill, it wouldn't have reduced its attacks, it wouldn't have reduced its movement, it wouldn't have done anything to it. Oh no, it lost 2 wounds, which it probably would have lost 1 because of your free up input at the time.
Yeah.
So, in addition, going from can't do this thing, and even if theoretically I could have, probably wouldn't have achieved anything, to, oh look, I actually just crippled this opposing unit and stopped this Riptide dead in its tracks through opportunity fire, through use of stratagems and rerolls and command points. You know, and that's...
To be fair though, that Riptide then did go on to further trolls, like he soaked an entire turn of shooting up, then charged a 1 wounded Lehman Russ, then that Lehman Russ back out of combat, ended up not being in combat for whatever reason, so then I shot it with a broadside and then it blew up, and then that blowing up killed my 1 wounded Riptide, and
yeah.
shenanigans.
There was a chain reaction of explosions as a result, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Your broadside inadvertently killed your Riptide,
yeah.
and wounded one of your commanders. Because his shot took out a Lehman Russ, which detonated your Riptide, which detonated my other Russ, which took a wound off one of your commanders. It was just like, wow, explosions. I can't imagine what that one guy in his suit was thinking. Like, just fired his shot into the side of a tank, next thing he knows, there's a mushroom cloud.
Yeah, just like, sorry, Jeff.
Looks like I need a field promotion. I'm the new commander.
No, he's the new Riptide.
No.
He gets the new Riptide suit.
So that was definitely my favourite moment, like you say. That hadn't even really occurred to me, but yeah, that would definitely be it. I can't believe that happened. I loved it. It was just a real epitome of the changes from 7th to 8th. The fact that something that was just so unachievable last edition just happening as opportunity in this edition.
Well, you remember his last game as 7th, don't you?
I try not to. But what would you say has been one of your favourite moments recently?
I'd probably say that game, definitely. That game was awesome. Favourite moments. So, what have I played recently? I think that was my most recent game. I don't think I've had a chance to get another game in since.
Probably. Because before that you played with your Eldar vs my Orcs, didn't you?
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything key that happened in that was spectacular. Oh no, there was.
Oh yes, sorry, yes. No, I remember now.
That was a very key moment in that game.
Yeah, very, very key moment.
Bear in mind that this was actually Index Eldar before Codex.
Yes, it was.
Go on.
Yes, this is my favourite moment recently. This was a spectacular. So, Orc Warboss gets out of the...
Mega Armoured Warboss.
Mega Armoured Warboss gets out of the Gorkanaut.
Battle Wagon.
Oh, Battle Wagon, sorry, yeah. Battle Wagon. With his Mega Armoured Knobs. Mega Armoured Knobs go to charge into one thing, he goes to charge into something else. Along comes a squad of striking scorpions ready for the counter. So in the charge, only roll enough to get the Exarch of the squad into base contact. So only he gets to use his Mandy Blasters. So uses Mandy Blasters, rolls a 6, mortally wounds the war boss. Does his attacks in combat. So he's got 3 attacks, which a roll of any 6 means that he gets to do an additional attack. So I roll a 1 and 2 6s, so I get another 2 attacks. And then from that, I'm killed the war boss, who hadn't even attacked.
And was unwounded at the start of the fight.
Yeah, literally just ran in with a scorpion Exarch and just went, yeah, and you're dead.
yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. It's like, oh wow, didn't expect that to happen. Like, you know, striking Scorpion Exarch just takes down a fully wounded, mega armored orc war boss by himself. It's like it felt like one of those moments you would read about in a Black Library novel or see like a cinematic
Yeah.
in a game.
Yeah,
Like,
it was.
Okay, on the tabletop, I would not expect a single striking Scorpion Exarch to kill that war boss. In the narrative, I could believe it happening, but it would have been a big effort by the Exarch. It wouldn't have just been easy.
No, the rest of his squad all died or something.
Yeah, you know, he'll come away wounded from it, and whatever. But like, I could see. I mean, like, I've read the Path of the Warrior series with the striking scorpions in there, and the Exarchs that show up throughout the book are all like ridiculous. You do get a sense of it'd be like a squad of guardsmen being trained by a marine, sort of thing. Like, you know, yeah, the other guys in the unit are good at their job. They are highly trained aspect warriors, but they pale in comparison to the Exarchs, who, you know, that is their life and they've been doing it for centuries. So I can see it happening narratively, but on the tabletop at the time, it was just like, wow, did not expect that to actually happen.
It was awesome.
It was a brilliant moment. So,
new products of Games Workshop. You've got the hand. Oh.
So this new available to pre-order hobby tool that the workshop's releasing is this painting handle. And I don't know if you've seen it at all. Go check it out if you haven't. It's very weird. Like, I cannot decide whether or not it's actually
I've always
something...
needed it and never known it, or I don't need it and you're trying to force something upon me.
Yeah, I can't decide which of the two that is. Because, so basically, it's literally what it says on the tin. Is that it's a handle to hold your models when you're painting them. So it's essentially like a handheld clamp. And what it does is it clamps around the base of the model. So the whole model itself is supported and you're not having to hold it with your hand anywhere else. So you're not going to smudge paint or get anything on it or do anything. You don't have to touch the model itself to paint it. Now, in theory, that sounds like a useful thing. You know, why would you not want to, you know...
But then again, I've gone, as we've just said, nearly 15 years without the handles, so...
Yeah. On the face of it, why would you not want to be able to not touch the model? You know, it seems like a useful thing. But, like you say, we've gone 15 years or so without needing anything like that, and I've painted the models fine without ever particularly making a mess because I was holding it wrong. You know. And I haven't seen if there's a price tag on it yet, so I don't know what they're charging for it.
But I do get it, because some people do paint by blue tacking models on stock paint pots.
Yeah, and other stuff. You know, I've seen plenty of people on like Twitter and other places online where Instagram accounts are of, you know, figures like stuck to, like, say, paint pots or paint stems or whatever. So maybe it is something useful, but I can't decide. I think it might end up being the case of like the Games Workshop clippers at the moment, where it's like, yeah, clippers are useful, and I do think the workshop ones are decent quality and better than just picking up something from like Wilco's or your local DIY shop or something. But it is overpriced.
Modern technology, let's go and have a look.
Ooh, pre-order now the Citadel painting handle.
How much is it?
It's a £5. So for a £5, I'll probably get it and try it. I want to see one in store, first of all, really. I don't know whether I'm going to be like, well, that was a wasted £5, I don't ever really need this. Or whether it's going to be like, oh my god, best thing I've ever bought from them for a £5. I feel like it's going to be one or the other. So, just to round up, guys. Looking forward, we're expecting Dark Angels and Blood Angels in December, on which note I imagine we're going to see the Lion at some point soon.
Yeah, I think we're going to get the Lion coming back.
Yeah, it'll no doubt be the subject of a future podcast. Later this month we've got Tyranids coming out, which James in our play group is very excited about as a big long-time Nid player.
Well, Lewis is kicking off about the Dark Angels and Egos. He's a full Dark Angel fan.
Yep. And I'm already getting all giddy for the true Scions of the Chaos Gods to be returning in January. The amount of times that I'm down in local gaming shops like Sean's and like not kids but like young hobbyists will come over to me and ask me what I play. It's like, oh, I play Chaos, and they go, oh cool, which Legion do you collect? It's like, no child, I play Chaos. I am not these puny mortal minions. You are fleeting and pointless in our existence. I follow the true path of the gods. I'm like, oh what, you can play demons? Yes, you can just play demons. They do exist, they are a thing, and they are awesome. But yeah, so we've got a lot of fun stuff coming up over the Christmas period. I'm looking forward to the New Year especially. And we are looking to make this a more regular podcast. It's something we started up a couple of months back just as a new fun little thing we were trying, but I've enjoyed it enough that I want to make it a regular feature. So I'm hoping to make it a once a month podcast at least. I haven't decided yet if it's going to be at the start of the month or the end of the month, but I'm thinking towards the start of the month. So by the time that you hear this, it might be that I have another one coming up for the start of December. So until then, guys, thanks for coming out and listening. This has been the Vox Chatter 40k podcast with me, Count Hillary, and Brett. And if you liked it and you'd like to hear more from this, then don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Twitter at Count Hillary.
So yes, keep listening out. Bye guys.
See you later.